Well, good afternoon, everybody. A couple of house cleaning items to begin with, very quickly. Please keep your cell phones on mute. Provide your name and media affiliation when you ask a question. If you're asking on Zoom, please use the raised hand function, and recording of the press conference on any cell phone is prohibited. I'd like to welcome the victorious Missouri Tigers, Coach, Dennis Gates, Demoy Hodge, and Kobe Brown. Coach, how about you leading us off? Your impressions of this afternoon's win?
Well, I'm extremely proud of our ball team. I think we did a tremendous job in our preparation, scouting report, but also research ever since we found out that we would be playing Utah State. I think our studying behind the scenes from the staff, our coaches, but also our players played a part in our performance. There's one thing in life that you sometimes have to be prepared for, and that's the unpredictable. And nobody in the country, nobody in the basketball world expected, first of all, us to be here, and secondly, for Utah State to go 0 for 11 in the first half or or make the amount of threes that they made. The only people that believed that we could do what we did was the guys in our locker room. And obviously our crowd, our fan base, those that have been by our side from day one. I'm extremely proud of the results, not complacent at all by any stretch of the imagination. And our job is to be prepared to study our next opponent.
Questions? Please raise your hand. Antonio?
Yeah, Coach, I just want to, I'm sorry, Tony Harvey from MGC Sports Radio. Just wanted to talk about that second half. Utah went up, I believe, 49-47. And your player next to you, Kobe Brown, I think he scored 10 in the next 12.
He scored 12.
He scored 12. You on top of it. You know exactly where I'm going with this. Can you just talk about that performance? Because it seemed like after Dan Aiken got those two back-to-back dunks, he went off.
Right.
Kobe went off.
I think our philosophy is not blinking. We didn't blink no matter what the crowd noise was, no matter what the response or the difficulty in the plays that Utah State made. They're a good team. They were supposed to go on the run. But we're a good team as well, and we were supposed to respond. And our guys stepped up and responded. Kobe Brown, he was, I want to believe, he hit 12 points out of the 20, and then Demoy Hodge, I think, hit the next 8. So the big picture is this: our team is balanced, and I'm proud of the way we respond in adverse situations.
Sir.
Mickey Doolittle, KCOU 88.1 FM. Could you talk about Trae Million's impact on the bench and whether or not he might have coaching in his future?
He's Coach Million to you, okay? I've said all along, he's the first kid I ever signed as a head coach, and his basketball IQ, his disposition is one that is impactful to a group, to a locker room, and it sort of reminds me of myself when I was in college. I was fortunate enough to play for Ben Bryant at Cal, and my question to him was, are you against freshmen becoming captains? I didn't ask about playing time. I didn't ask about how many minutes or how many shots. I asked about leadership, and Trae Million is the same way. It's hard for him not to be out there. Without a doubt, he wants to be side by side with his teammates, and I had to have a real conversation with him in the locker room, and I said, if you're not playing, I need you involved. And as involved as my staff members, and you can see him walking up to me making suggestions, and that's what I anticipate and that's what I expect of him.
Joe?
Coach, Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee. Can you tell us about Kobe Bryant for those of us Kobe Brown who don't know him? What kind of player, good scholar, just everything that just makes him pop?
Well, what he means to us is this: he is our SEC Player of the Year, not just Student Athlete of the Year. He's our first team All-American, AP poll, whatever poll you want to make up. He's that for us. And sometimes you don't have to wait to give people their accolades when someone else's opinion outside the circle is out there and first and foremost not parallel to what we think. He's a kid that is humble, a kid that is very unselfish, a kid that is has a high level of empathy, but also a young man who knows what he wants in life, comes from great family, but more importantly, he plays the game the right way. Hopefully, what I know that teams in the NBA will know, but hopefully they'll understand how impactful he is. But he's our MVP, I can tell you that. And ultimately, when he started making some shots in that second half, he immediately made eye contact. What were you saying?
I'm here,
He said he's here. And I said, yes, you are. We can see.
Ron?
Ron Kreitz from the San Francisco Chronicle. Kobe, this is for you. I'm curious, when Utah State made some runs and you look at the sideline and Coach Gates is calm and composed as could be, how much that settles the team, I guess, when there's anxiety and tension in the game, to have a coach who's like that.
Definitely. It sells the team a lot. We talk about this all the time. Everyone on the team gets asked this all the time. Where a team goes on a 2-point run, a 10-point run, or a 20-point run, he's the same way. So every time, they might hit a three, we get a timeout, we look over at the bench, we're heading there, and he's just standing there with his hands behind his back. So now that leaves us, there's no reason for us to be yelling and, screaming at each other because he's not doing it at us. We get there, he was like, everybody just calm down, power clap, and reset. So, it's big for the team, and I'm glad he's that way.
Gentleman in front.
Drew King, Power Mizzou. Des Moines, Coach mentioned you guys held them 0 for 11 from 3 in the first half. Can you tell us a little bit about the approach that went into defense in this game?
So the approach was to pressure like full court man like we always do. We know what they wanted. They wanted jump shots. We trying to force them to the basket, make them take twos, and make the big man score. When they drove, we fled out to the shooters because we know that's not what they wanted all night. They didn't want the big men to score. They wanted the shooters to shoot. And just running them off the line, making them take tough trees, forcing them into bad shots, just helped us out in the long run.
26 of their 31 points in the first half were points in the paint. And you got to understand at that point, that's not how they want to score. That's not how they want the entire game to go. So our guys, commend them. It's hard to give up layups or different things, but they stayed disciplined and they did not over-rotate, which is one of the game plans that we saw being used throughout their conference. I was able to watch each and every game, and sometimes you don't want to flood your guys with every game of a season that a team has played, but you have to get what those main points are out to them, and we couldn't emphasize it enough. And they watched film themselves, and they were able to see it.
Gentleman in the third row.
It's Jerry Brewer from the Washington Post. Coach, beneath that calm demeanor, like what's really going on inside of you? And have you had a chance to celebrate in the locker room? If not, will you celebrate this first NCAA tournament win?
So for me, I played the game a certain way, and I was wired tight, and I played as hard as I can. I would never coach how I played. But as a coach, what I've learned is the level of cerebral, emotional intelligence that one has to have, but also the impact that you have with young people who do nothing but illustrate their life through what they see on Instagram, Twitter, everything else. So I want to exude something in plain sight when they first take a glance, and they're always watching. I want them to see a calming force about me. I want them to see a confident, not arrogance. I want them to see humility. I want them to see grace. I want them to see forgiveness. I want them to see our 8 core values of friendship, love, accountability, trust, discipline, unselfishness, enthusiasm, and toughness. I want them to see that. But I also want my words to reflect it. You never know what can crush a young player's dreams or their aspirations, but you know one thing, there's nothing better than a player having confidence, and that's what I want to give them. The second part of your question was what again? Remind me.
Did you celebrate in the locker room with the guys, and if not, will you?
It's emotional for me. I actually cried, and I'll be honest with you. My college coach, Some of my teammates were here, and my family's here. So for me, it was emotional. But more importantly, I think the first thing I said, was where's the radio, and put the song on, and the song was California Love by Tupac. That's what we were listening to.
Michael?
So celebration, no such thing. We got to prepare for the next opponent.
Michael Wagaman, the Associated Press. Kobe, Coach has talked about you guys remaining calm, not flinching, in key moments. Utah State got the technical late. You guys come down, you missed 2 free throws, both free throws. It could have been an emotional swing right there, but then you come right back and get a 3. Is that a perfect example of what Dennis is talking about?
Yes, sir, definitely. I would say, Nick, we all, the whole team, or the 5 on the floor, chose Nick to shoot those free throws because we believed in him. He didn't make the 2, but, we all gave him daps right after because we knew he'll normally make those. So, yeah, like we said, we just, Coach always says we try not to blink. We don't blink when things get rough. We knew those 2 free throws were big, and that could, help with our momentum. But when he missed them, we just had to, show him love, or as Coach says, give him grace. And, it just allowed us to, keep going and move forward from there.
Got time for one more. Jerry?
Just one more question. That's it.
Well,
Coach, I just wanted to close the loop on the captaincy. Ben Braun said he couldn't remember. I think he said he did captains by game. Were you a captain as a freshman in any game?
I wasn't waiting for Ben Braun to tell me I was. I can tell you that. I was coaching and bossing my teammates around. That gentleman right there, Dr. Joe Carr, was front row seat. He's our sports psychologist. At the age of 18, I told him, I said, Doc, when I become a head coach, I want you to work with my team. And he's been there every step of the way working with our team behind the scenes. But I didn't wait for Ben Braun to tell me or anoint me or name me captain. It was one of those things where my actions spoke louder than any title, but eventually the seniors, the juniors, and the sophomores knew what cloth I was cut from. I didn't panic, I didn't blink, I led, I played hard, I gave my very best at all times, and that's all I asked of these guys, and Ben Braun gave me the opportunity to do just that. And sometimes it's not what a coach tells you, it's what a coach tells you not to do. He didn't tell me not to lead. He didn't tell me that I was not a captain. I asked the question, and he was impressed. And that right there speaks for itself. My teammates respected me no matter what year they were in school, and we still joke about different situations now. Remember when. There are so many remember wins when it comes down to that, but ultimately I was that guy that put the team on the line and said, guys, we're turning the ball over too much. Let's run some suicides for this. Or I'll kick coaches out of debrief or prep and say, hey, coaches, we got it. Let us do it. And the guys responded to it. So sometimes, young people wait for adults to tell them what to do. Sometimes you got to understand, you got to take the chance, you got to be courageous enough. And I was just doing what my coaches and educators back home said I was good at, and that's a leader, being someone that's not a follower. And ultimately, that's what paved the road into me being a head coach now.
anyone else who has not had a chance to ask a question?
And we got a lot of questions now. We wasn't supposed to be here. They said we was losing today.
No.
So they got questions.
Okay.
They got questions. Let's go. Ask some more questions.
I do have one more question. Kobe, when you got those two back-to-back dunks after that went off, was that like a catalyst? I'm sorry. Kobe, was that a catalyst when Dan Aiken got those two back-to-back dunks, and that's when you went on your spree after that? Did that get you fired up after you got those dunks?
I wouldn't say fired up, but, like immediately after he got those 2 dunks, after each one, I was just telling my team, it's just 2 points at the end of the day. Like, you went up, dunked the ball, it's 2 points. We got to get back, got to keep playing. It's just like getting 2 regular layups to us. Like you said, we don't blink. We just tried to, we felt them getting the momentum, but we couldn't show that. And if we would have showed that, things would have went a lot different. So, yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Hey, appreciate that one extended question. We appreciate you.